This is a very controversial bill enlisting all men aged 18 through 26 into the military draft. Former Texas Congressman Ron Paul warns of an impending World War III and the expansion of the draft to include women. And in a bold statement, Ron Paul, he highlights the motivations of the military-industrial complex and the economic threats posed by inflation. Meanwhile, the political arena is buzzing all over the place with President Joe Biden's allegations against Donald Trump. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's firm support for Joe Biden, and of course, the First Lady Joe Biden's encounters with reporters over calls of Biden to drop out of the presidential race. Plus, we got very heated exchanges at the White House press briefing involving Ed O'Keefe and Karine Jean-Pierre, shedding light on President Joe Biden's health and the role of Dr. Kevin Cannard. Oh, I got a lot to share with you guys today. If you haven't already, I just want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for liking these videos. Thank you for subscribing and sharing the videos. It really does help me out. Really do appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. So Congressman Ron Paul says that the military-industrial complex is itching to make boatloads of cash off of foreign wars and conflicts, and perhaps the beginning of World War III as Congress makes moves to add women to the draft. Additionally, Dr. Paul, a former presidential candidate for the Republican Party in 2008 and 2012, also explained the plot to undermine the U.S. economy through inflation and the weakening of the U.S. dollar, and the solution to it: constitutional currency through gold and silver. President Joe Biden appears to be suggesting that Donald J. Trump called our military men and women suckers and losers. Do you guys believe that? Donald Trump says that this is a complete lie. President Joe Biden also claims that he knows this to be true because he was with Trump. Now, I want you guys to listen very carefully, and I want you to tell me if it sounds to me like President Biden sitting in the bathroom, possibly even sitting on the toilet. Take a listen here.
We're reading from the list of lies. First of all, he was made up quote, suckers and losers. I was with it. He called the Americans in the cemeteries from World War I suckers and losers.
So Biden lies about Trump, but yet Biden goes and says this. Now, I'm going to share with you guys something that Biden said quite a while ago, but just think about this for a second, because Joe Biden is the same guy who just said that Donald Trump said that, military men were suckers and losers. I just personally have a hard time believing that. Like, why would Donald Trump say that while at a cemetery? Does that even make sense? Now, some folks are saying that Biden could not have even been there because it never happened. But I want you guys to listen to what Joe Biden had to say to actual servicemen and women directly to their faces.
Understanding what you may hear about me, I have incredibly good judgment. One, I married Jill. And two, I appointed Johnson to the academy. I just want you to know that. Let's clap for that, you stupid bastards. Understanding what you may hear about me, I have incredibly good judgment. One, I married Jill, and two, I appointed Johnson to the academy. I just want you to know that. Let's clap for that, you stupid bastards. Understanding what you may hear about me, I have incredibly good...
Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. So my question is, who's really taking a crap on our servicemen and women here? Is it Joe Biden or is it Donald Trump? So on Monday, yesterday, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, spoke about whether President Joe Biden should continue running for president even after his poor performance in a debate with former President Donald Trump last month. Talking to reporters outside the U.S. Capitol, AOC made it very clear that there's no more discussion about this issue. She said the matter is closed. AOC emphasized her support for President Joe Biden, stating that Joe Biden is our nominee. He's not leaving this race. He is in the race, and I support him. So this means that AOC believes that Joe Biden will continue to run for president and fully supports his decision to stay in the race. Now, earlier Monday, First Lady Jill Biden scolded reporters for screaming at her as she walked from a coffee shop to her car. Now, this happened when a reporter tried to ask her questions about President Joe Biden possibly dropping out of the presidential race. Now, in a video shared by J.M. Rieger, a senior video journalist with the Washington Post, you could actually see the moment when Joe Biden was confronted by the reporter. Now, the reporter asked about the increasing number of Democrats who want President Joe Biden to leave the race. The female reporter shouted, "Dr. Biden, do you have any message to House Democrats who are calling for your husband to drop out of the race? How are you feeling about the state of the race?" So then Joe Biden, clearly frustrated by the loud questioning, she responded, quote, "Why are you screaming at me? You don't know me. Don't scream at me. Just let me talk." So this shows that Joe Biden was clearly upset with the reporter's tone and wanted to have a little bit more of a respectful conversation. Now, I have a really big story that I want to share with you guys, so make sure you guys stay to the very end of this video. Now, President Joe Biden, he had a very important phone call with Congressional Black Caucus members on Monday. Now, this focused on the upcoming November election and the role that the CBC will be playing in this re-election campaign. A spokesperson for President Joe Biden's campaign confirmed the call to Fox News Digital. They said, "Tonight, President Joe Biden joined a call with the Congressional Black Caucus to discuss the November election." The call started with Chairman Stephen Ford, or Horace Ford, opening the discussion. Then, former Chairman Joyce Beatty introduced President Joe Biden, and Congressman James Clyburn wrapped up the call. During this call, though, President Joe Biden expresses his gratitude to everyone involved. It is very, very clear at this point that Joe Biden is desperate for the black vote. He talked about how important this election is, and he emphasized this very crucial role that the Congressional Black Caucus leaders play and will play in helping him get reelected and defeating his opponent, Donald J. Trump. A spokesperson highlighted that Biden thanked all of those who were on the call and discussed the stakes of the election. After the call, though, Representative Federica Wilson from Florida released a statement. She strongly supports Biden for another 4 years because she believes that he consistently supported her community. In her statement, Wilson wrote, quote, "President Joe Biden spoke extensively about his plans to uplift Black Americans and grow Black wealth. He's already increased Black wealth, and if we elect him for another 4 years, we can continue to slash Black poverty and help Black Americans thrive." Now, comment down below, guys. Do you think that Joe Biden has helped to increase Black wealth over the last 4 years or at any point in time in his career? Let me know what you guys think down below. And even if you're not Black, let me know if you feel like Joe Biden has helped you to increase your wealth throughout the years. Wilson also mentioned that the call reinforced her support for Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. She stated, "Undermining Biden only weakens our resolve to defeat Donald Trump in November. I reject Donald Trump's racism and authoritarianism and firmly stand with democracy. And in November, everyone holding Black jobs," you see the air quotes, "are going to send Donald Trump back whining to Mar-a-Lago. The election is clear. It's a clear choice between democracy and authoritarianism, and we choose democracy every day," end quote. Now, I don't know about that. I mean, is Donald Trump really a dictator, or is Joe Biden really more pro-communist? Anyway, former President Donald Trump predicted on Monday that President Joe Biden will resist calls from Democrats to drop out of the presidential race, stating that Biden has got an ego problem. How many of you guys think that Joe Biden has an ego problem? So anyway, Donald Trump made these remarks during an exclusive interview on the Hannity show. So Donald Trump explained his view, basically saying, quote, "Well, they cover for Biden and they are still sort of covering, but now it's getting very difficult to do that," end quote. And I would have to agree with that. I mean, they've been covering Joe Biden's butt for years, hiding the mental cognitive issues for quite a while. But now it's just so blatantly obvious. It's like, how do you hide this purple elephant that's in the room here, right? So Donald Trump was referring to the efforts of Democrats and the media always trying to support Biden. Now, Donald Trump added, quote, "And it looks to me like he may very well stay. And he's got an ego and doesn't want to quit. He doesn't want to do that, end quote. Now, recently, there have been growing calls from some Democrats for Biden to drop out of the race, especially after his poor performance in a debate against Trump last month. Now, during this interview, Donald Trump also predicted that if Biden were to drop out, Vice President Kamala Harris would likely become the Democratic candidate. Donald Trump said, well, quote, I think that it would be her. I think they're very concerned about that vote. He further elaborated, basically saying that, quote, if it's not her, they are very, very gun shy. They don't want to do it any other way. I think I've actually come to believe that that's what they're going to do, end quote. So what do y'all think? Are they going to yank Joe Biden from this race? Or, and if they do, who do you think they're going to put in place? Are you on board with Donald Trump's prediction that they're probably going to put Kamala Harris in place of Donald Trump on this one for the Democratic ticket? Let me know. So former President Donald Trump has expressed very strong concerns about the direction in which he believes that President Joe Biden has taken this country. So during an interview with Sean Hannity, Donald Trump accused Joe Biden of leading the United States toward World War III. And Donald Trump's statements, they were quite direct. He said, quote, we're headed into World War III, in my opinion, with this man semi-running things because he's not running things, end quote. Donald Trump emphasized that he does not believe that Joe Biden is fully in control. Instead, he suggested that the people surrounding the president, particularly those in the Oval Office and around the Resolute desk, are the real ones that are truly making decisions. And we've also heard increasing rumors that his crackhead son, Hunter Biden, is sitting in on all of the presidential meetings and whatnot. So who knows? We may actually have a drug addict crackhead running the United States right now, for all we know, possibly with access to nuclear codes, for all we know. So Donald Trump further criticized President Joe Biden's leadership by saying, quote, the people that surround the Oval Office, the people that surround the Resolute desk, they're really running things in Washington, I suspect. He also stated that Biden is not respected and our country is in serious trouble. Donald Trump's warning has ultimately become more dire as he talked about the potential for a catastrophic conflict. He cautioned, quote, and I'll tell you what, if we're not careful, we're going to be right in the middle of World War III, and that'll be a war like nobody's seen before because the weaponry, end quote. Now, this really does highlight Donald Trump's belief that, modern warfare with its advanced weaponry could lead to an unprecedented level of destruction, guys. Now, this is a pretty big story that is really kind of getting leaked out and it's coming to light. Basically, the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, had a very heated exchange with a reporter by the name of Ed O'Keefe during a press briefing. And the Biden administration essentially facing intense scrutiny because of recent revelations about repeated visits to the White House by Dr. David Cannard, who is a neurologist who specializes in Parkinson's disease. Now, these visits have raised more questions about President Joe Biden's mental health. Now, again, more part of this cover-up here taking place here, and we believe that this story is about to break wide open. Why else would this doctor constantly be visiting the White House, when they specialize in Parkinson's disease, right? And of course, Karine Jean-Pierre is trying to keep everything under, lock and key. According to the reports first shared by the New York Post, Dr. Kevin Cannard, who works at Walter Reed Military Medical Center, met several times with President Joe Biden's physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, over the past year. Okay? Now, during Monday's press briefing, Karine Jean-Pierre was repeatedly asked to confirm Dr. Cannard's visits to the White House. She refused to provide details, citing security and privacy concerns, even though Dr. Cannard's name appeared in the public visitor logs. Now, according to the Associated Press, reporter Zeke Miller asked if Dr. Cannard's visits were related to President Joe Biden's health. Jean-Pierre dodged the question again, saying, I'm not going to share people's doctors' names. This ended up leading to Ed O'Keefe to lose his patience due to the lack of clear answers. So Karine Jean-Pierre then suggested that thousands of military personnel have been treated at the White House medical unit. She made this comment in response to questions about a New York Times report stating that Dr. Cannard had visited the White House 8 times in the past 8 months, including at least one meeting with President Joe Biden's physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor. And so when asked directly if the Parkinson's expert's visit had anything to do with President Joe Biden's health, Karine Jean-Pierre referred to the most recent health report on the president released in February. She said that this report had no findings consistent with cerebellar or any other type of central neurological disorder such as a stroke, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, or ascending lateral sclerosis. So, I mean, she's saying that he doesn't have Parkinson's according to this. This is what I'm taking from it. Now, when she got pressed even further to be more specific, Karine Jean-Pierre explained that there are thousands of military personnel who come onto the White House. Many of them get care from the White House medical unit. She also went on to say that the medical unit hosts a wide range of specialists from dermatologists to neurologists. So I can't speak to every person because, there's actual security reasons to protect their privacy. So the response really just kind of highlights that, many different medical specialists visit the White House, and Karine Jean-Pierre emphasized the importance of privacy and security in these matters. So I'm gonna leave it to you guys. What do y'all think? What do you really think is really going on with President Joe Biden? I personally think that there's a massive cover-up going on, and it's only a matter of time before all of the truth actually comes to light. But anyway, guys, if you haven't already, please take a second, hit the like button for the video. Totally appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. You guys are so supportive. I love you guys. Always, just providing me with valuable comments. Appreciate the support in the comments. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing this video. This really does help to get the truth out, and I will see you guys on the next one.